On the 19th of February 2024, Crystal Palace announced the departure of veteran manager Roy Hodgson. It represented the conclusion of a nomadic 48-year managerial career for the Englishman and the end of his relationship with boyhood club Crystal Palace. It was a side which he first took over in September 2017 after a short-lived and disastrous tenure with Frank de Boer, before Hodgson steadied the ship to guide the Eagles to 11th place. Hodgson continued to stabilise Palace beyond this point, eventually announcing his intention to leave in May 2021 with the club established as a firm Premier League fixture. Many thought this was the end of his time at Palace and management as a whole, but he was tempted back by Watford in January 2022, but was unable to prevent relegation and left after. Again, it seemed like that was that, until once again he re-emerged at Palace in March 2023 on a short-term deal to replace Patrick Vieira, who had been dismissed. Hodgson's team performed so well that Crystal Palace were persuaded to offer him a new contract, which he accepted. But the past campaign was one step too far for him, and by the time of his departure the club was sitting in 16th place. For Palace fans there was a mixed reaction. Hodgson was the old reliable, what they knew, but on the converse side there was a sense of optimism that they could build with a new manager who could make the most of their good squad. The result was an appointment that perfectly fitted the bill: Oliver Glasner. Austrian Glasner had most recently been in charge of German side Eintracht Frankfurt before leaving the Bundesliga club last summer. During this period he delivered European success in his first season, as they beat Rangers to secure the Europa League title. He then led the club to the DFB Pokal final in June 2023, which turned out to be his final game in charge, where they lost to RB Leipzig. And prior to this he'd been able to help Wolfsburg over a 2-year period to secure Champions League qualification. These successes had been achieved through transforming the squads into positive, quick, intense and aggressive sides, which importantly operated as effective collectives rather than individuals, largely in a 3-back wing-back shape. This latter point on the collective was a message he iterated as soon as he arrived at Selhurst Park. So the question was whether he'd be able to translate this ability and success to Crystal Palace. And the answer? Well, an overwhelming yes. But there was no immediate new manager bounce. The improvement in their performances was quickly evident, and before long the results did come. During the end of the season run, Crystal Palace picked up 6 wins and 1 draw to finish 10th in the league, equalling their highest finish ever in the Premier League. Importantly, they did this playing outstanding football and being a real joy to watch, giving us a glimpse of what can be achieved under Glasner. From defence, where the likes of Anderson, Marc Guehi and Richards have been solid, to the adventurous wing-backs of Mitchell and Munoz, who have typified the way Glasner likes to play. Meanwhile, in midfield, Adam Wharton has been excellent since his move from Blackburn in January. Under Glasner's tutelage, he has won more tackles than any of his teammates this season, pressing opposition in the middle of the park, while he has also displayed outstanding passing and composure, being press resistant before playing 1 or 2 touch passes to players ahead. Then to the forward positions, where a trio of Michael Olise, Eze and Mateta have been excellent, with Palace scoring 29 goals under Glasner, with much coming through these players. So as the season ends and we look to the next campaign, there's plenty to be optimistic about for Crystal Palace fans, with the potential for European football a real probability. Already we have seen Crystal Palace ward off interest from Bayern Munich for Oliver Glasner, despite only being at the club half a season. Meanwhile, movements in the transfer market are already ongoing, with it being touted that Japanese international Kamada is set to join Palace, reuniting with Glasner, who he already knows the system of and performed effectively with at Frankfurt. Aside from this, Palace have also agreed a £15 million deal to sign Moroccan international Riyad from Barcelona, with the 20-year-old centre-back enjoying a successful loan spell at Real Betis. During the last campaign he made 30 appearances and helped the club qualify for the Europa Conference League with a 7th place finish in La Liga. However, these signings link into the challenge for Glasner this summer and into next season, with the potential departure of key players. Michael Olise is heavily rumoured to be piquing interest from a number of top Premier League teams during the transfer window. If he were to go, he would fetch a sizable fee, but his departure would represent a big blow for the Eagles. And a very similar situation to Olise's is Eze, who has also been touted for an exit, although the rumours have been less ferocious than his counterpart. There'll be hopes that they can hang on to the Englishman. The third of the highly rated Palace stars linked with a move away is Marc Guehi, who has also been touted by a number of top sides in recent months, and given his experience and qualities, it remains to be seen whether they'll hold on to him. Interestingly, the mould of the 2 players rumoured to be joining could be seen as replacements for these players, and a sign that they may be moving on. On the other hand, they may be merely strengthening players for Glasner to build into the team. Either way, we'll have to see what situation Oliver Glasner's team is in by the end of the summer.